guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jerry, and as you know, on this channel I love to talk about things related to spirituality, self-help, and growth. So if you're interested in learning about those things, feel free to go ahead and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Go ahead and like this video because I know that you're already gonna love what I have for you today. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so if you haven't read the title already, today's video is going to be about crystals. As you can see, I am in a car. That is because I am starting a new segment on my channel called In the Car with Info. In the Car with Info, yay! So the info that I have for you today is going to be all about crystals. So if you haven't seen or known or heard anything about crystals, this video is going to be very informative. I hope that you guys learn something with this video because the intention with this video is to teach you guys something that you may or may not have known already. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I have three main topics that I want to talk about with you guys today. So let's go ahead and get into it. That's enough of this intro. So let's go ahead and start. First chapter, I guess, is called What Are They and How Do They Work? What exactly are crystals and how do they work? Crystals are minerals or rock-like formations that are formed within the earth. They are formed by the pressure of the earth. I know that you guys may know about diamonds. Diamonds can be made from this way. They're kind of formed with pressure, and they're formed from other elements in the earth as well, combining and having different components of elements come together to form crystals. The way that crystals work is with their energies. Just like many other things like people and plants and animals, crystals have energies as well. Crystals have energy forces, energy fields, and they exude these energies much like we do, much like our auras, and animals exude energies as well. As you may or may not know, cats, they purr, and their purr is very, very, very healing. So a lot of different crystals can have these same qualities and abilities and healing components, and that's one reason that people like to use them. Some people use them for healing, some people use them for prosperity, some people use them for protection. There's numerous crystals that you can use for many different things. It's all about the energy and vibration that these crystals exude. Some crystals have very healing energies. Some crystals can bring you clarity, and those types of crystals can be clear quartz or snow quartz. Clear quartz is kind of like a blank slate crystal is what I like to call it, because it can be programmed with any intention, and that is something that we're going to be talking more about later. But this crystal is kind of like a blank slate, so I love to have some clear quartz with me either at all times, or it's one of my favorite crystals because it can be used and worked in different ways and used as a substitute, much like a white candle can substitute any other color candle, if that makes sense. One common misconception about crystals is that you can just go buy one and your life is fixed. Like, oh yeah, like I bought this rose quartz, like I'm gonna have a lot of love come into my life because I bought this rose quartz, right? People tend to think that with crystals you can just buy it and boom, my life is fixed, or I have this rose quartz, so I'm going to attract love now, or I'm going to love myself more because I have this rose quartz. No, with spirituality, much different from religion. With religion, they always tell you, oh, just pray and make it happen. If you pray, like, God is going to make it happen. With spirituality, it's you have to pray and you have to do the work and you have to do things to make it happen. So you can't pray for prosperity without getting a job, without having a job, without trying to get a job, right? You can't pray for prosperity without having a way for the prosperity to come to you. It's not just gonna, oh, I'm magically gonna find $1,000. Like, that can happen, but it's very, very rare that that's the way that your prosperity will come. So with crystals, it's the same idea. You can't just buy one and be like, oh, my life is gonna be fixed with this crystal because I have this crystal that is set for love or prosperity. Like, those things are going to come to me now just because I have this crystal. That is not how that works at all. Like, you have to program them, you have to cleanse them, charge them, and program them, and that's something that we'll be talking more about later in this video. But as of right now, I just wanted to give you guys an overall basis of what a crystal is. It is a mineral or a rock-like formation that is found in the earth, within the earth's crust. They're beautiful. You can have big crystals, small crystals, you can have little crystals crystal bits, whatever it may be. Crystals come in all shapes, all sizes, and colors and variations, and there's so many different types of crystals out there. So I really suggest that you guys look into them, look into what crystals may be working for you. That is something that we'll be talking about in our next segment. So like I was saying about how you can program crystals, and what I was saying earlier about how you have to put your intentions into them, right? This isn't to say that you can buy any random crystal and make it do what you want it to do. Now, that can be the case with some crystals like snow quartz or maybe even selenite, crystals that kind of don't have their own kind of set energies, if that makes sense. Like rose quartz is used for love. That is a great love crystal. Black tourmaline is great for protection, right? So those crystals have coordinates. So if you're looking for protection, you're not going to go and buy a rose quartz, because although maybe rose quartz can protect your love life, it's not going to give you that overall protection. For overall protection, you would want something more like obsidian or black tourmaline or tiger's eye, or something that is grounding and can keep you protected and grounded, right? So you're not going to want to go and just buy any random crystal and be like, oh, well, all crystals work for this way and they can do anything that I need them to do. That is not the case unless you're buying, like I said, a blank slate crystal like clear quartz or maybe even snow quartz or some selenite. You want something that is a blank slate if you're trying to just have a crystal that you can program and try to assist yourself when you need that assistance. But it's best to buy a crystal that has coordinates with what you're trying to achieve, right? Okay, so our next little info segment, or whatever you want to call it, is how to find the crystal for you. How can I find a crystal that resonates with me? How can I find a crystal just to start with? Now, for me personally, I bought like this little kit, this, I guess, chakra kit. I think it was a chakra kit, or it might have been like a spiritual starter pack or whatever. And I bought it from Amazon. I don't recommend doing that because Amazon has a lot of fake crystals. So don't try to buy your crystals from Amazon. You'd be better off shopping on Etsy, from a reputable shop, or even going to your local crystal stores. Usually you have at least one crystal store in your city or in a city near you. So it's best to do it that way. I would not recommend getting your crystals on Amazon because it turned out that they were fake, right? And I was just like, oh, but it was fine anyway, because when I first started my spiritual journey, I wasn't really allowed to be doing that stuff. I was living with my mom, and I was kind of on the hush hush about like my crystals and my sage, and I wasn't really allowed to be doing it anyway. So I wasn't too upset about it that they turned out to be fake. It was like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't supposed to do it anyway. But with crystals, when you're picking a crystal for yourself, or if a crystal has been gifted to you, that is a great way to kind of get crystals, if that makes sense. When people find out that you're spiritual, a gift that they tend to give you is like crystals or something that is easily accessible, like some sage. So if someone gifts you a crystal, that is one of my favorite ways to receive crystals, actually, because sometimes when someone picks a crystal for you, it can resonate more with you because they may know your energy better than what you may know your energy, or it kind of just shows like, okay, well, they bought me a crystal for love, and you know, this could represent that they love me, or whatever it may be. But I love to receive my crystals as gifts, if that makes sense. I love to get them as gifts from people that I love and care about. That is a great way to receive your crystals, right? Another way, sometimes crystals show up in your life through hearsay. Like maybe you'll hear the name of this one specific crystal all the time. Maybe you'll always hear like, oh, rose quartz, rose quartz, rose quartz everywhere you go. Maybe you'll see someone wearing rose quartz all the time, or maybe you'll see videos pop up in your feed about rose quartz all the time, or maybe people will be like talking to you about rose quartz. That can be a way to find out that a crystal belongs to you. That can be a way. Crystals can show up in your life just randomly, if that makes sense. Like they can show up through various different ways in your life. Crystals can pop up, like I said, through hearsay, like people talking to you about a specific crystal, or gifting you crystals. And one time, like when I was on a walk, I came home and there was this tiny bag of crystals like literally in my yard. It wasn't there when I left, and when I was on the walk, I actually like touched a butterfly, and I can show you the pictures of the crystals and the butterfly and everything like that. That was one way that I received a few little crystals that I have now. I found it in my yard, I cleansed them, and I figured out what they were by the little photo identifier. and I believe it was carnelian, green aventurine, another blue one, maybe turquoise or something like that. But I'll put up the picture so you guys can see. But that is another way that you can receive crystals. Like sometimes the crystal will find you. You don't even have to go find it. Sometimes it'll just show up. Maybe you'll see it in a dream, especially if you're a dreamer, if you're a person who has dreams and gets a lot of messages through your dreams. Sometimes crystals will show up in your dreams. Like I've heard that people will have dreams about being in a cave covered in like amethyst, and that can be amethyst trying to come to you like, hey, you need this for whatever amethyst works for you. You know, amethyst can be good for anxiety, depression. It can be good for getting restful sleep. So maybe you need something like that in your life, and that amethyst is showing up to give that to you, if that makes sense. Another way that I love to get crystals is to go to the crystal store, right? Go to my local crystal shop and not really have any set idea on what crystals that I want. Like maybe I'll just go and browse around and kind of pick up random crystals. Maybe I know what they are, maybe I don't. And I'm just picking them up with no set intention of, oh, I'm gonna get crystals for this purpose only. Like just getting random crystals. That's a favorite way to do it. Picking random crystals up at your local crystal store and then going to the car or waiting till you get home and looking up what that crystal is, what that crystal is used for, and how you can use that crystal. That is a great way to kind of get your crystals, because when you're doing that, you're not really going into it with an intention of, I want a crystal for prosperity, or I want a crystal for love, or I want a crystal for healing. You're just getting your crystals with no really set intention behind it, if that makes sense. And that is a great way to get them, because then it's like, okay, well, I got this crystal that's good for anxiety. That could be telling me that I need to work on my anxiety. If I got a crystal for healing, maybe that's telling me that I need to do some healing work or anything like that. So that is a great way that I love to get my crystals, having someone else do it for you. So when you're doing it consciously, when people gift you crystals, that's more of an unconscious gesture. Like they're just giving it to you either because they want to, or maybe you ask for it. But with a conscious decision to have someone else pick your crystals, you want to do something like, hey, would you like to go crystal shopping with me, right? Like, and you want to do it with someone that you love, someone who loves you, someone who has pure intentions with you. So this could be a romantic partner for some of you. This could be your mother for some of you. This could be your sibling or whoever it may be. You want it to be someone who genuinely loves you and cares about you. And you want to ask them like, hey, would you mind like going to the crystal store with me? And I want you to pick up some crystals that you think would be good for me, right? And this can help because they, like I said, they may know your energy better than you do, or they may be able to kind of read your aura without doing it consciously, or maybe they do know how to read auras and they can do that for you, you know. So there's multiple different ways to kind of receive your crystals. It's all about just finding things that work for you, things that can help you, and things that assist you in your life. Now, our last little segment for this In the Car with Info episode: how to charge, cleanse, and program your crystals. How do you charge your crystals? How do you get rid of any energies? Why is this man just standing here and child? How do you get rid of any lingering energies or anything like that? Like, how do you do these things? So, with charging your crystals, let's start with charging. There are multiple ways to charge your crystals, right? So you can use other crystals to charge your crystals. You can use the sun and or moonlight. You can use salt, I believe, and there's just multiple different ways to charge your crystals, right? So let's start with charging your crystals with other crystals. Selenite is like a spiritual charger, right? If that makes sense. Like, you have your phone and you have the phone charger, you plug it up and it charges your phone. So think of selenite as being like a phone charger, but for crystals, right? People love to have selenite plates and to put their crystals on top of the selenite plates. That's a great way to use them. That's a great way to charge your crystals. You can also just, if you don't have a selenite plate, because I personally don't have one, I want one really, really bad, and I want a cute little selenite plate to keep all my crystals on, but I don't have one right now. So I do have 2 selenite spars, and they're just like little spars, and And you can like hold them against your crystals or just set your crystal up against it, and that's a great way to charge them. Just having them touching basically is the way to do it. You want to have the selenite touching your other crystal. And I forgot to mention that you guys can get some crystals on my site. I do have 7 crystals available right now on there, but I do plan to get more hopefully soon within this next week or so. So you guys should be able to get some selenite on my site for the low and some other crystals. Like all my crystals are under $5, so you can get pretty much all 7 crystals for like $30. And at other shops, like crystals can be expensive, like especially if you're getting a bigger sized crystal. So you do want to make sure that you are being mindful of the prices and price ranges and who you're shopping with as well. You want to make sure that the person you're shopping with has great intentions and that they're not just doing it for money. Because me personally, I don't run my shop just for money. I run my shop with the intention of making spirituality affordable. Even my readings are very, very affordable. So that is something that you want to be mindful of when shopping with other people. You want to make sure that they have good intentions, good energy, and that you're not shopping with creators who can have negative energies or who are always kind of having a negative aura, if that makes sense. But back to what I was talking about with charging your crystals. Now, you can charge your crystals in the sun. As you can see, the sun is shining. I had to block out some of the sun for this episode, but the sun is shining great. So this would be great light to charge your crystals in, especially if you're in a really sunny area and you just need to charge them really quick, or maybe you don't have time. Just set them out in the sun and charge them that way. So you do want to be mindful though, because some crystals can lose color in the sunlight. Some of them can change color. Some of them just don't do well in sunlight. So for crystals that may not do well in sunlight, you can charge them in moonlight. That is another great way to charge your crystals under the new moon, under the full moon. Not sure if you guys are in any groups on Facebook or if you follow any other spiritual people, but a lot of spiritual people love to have their little oh, it's the new moon, it's the full moon, and have their little setups outside with their moon water that they're making for whatever they're making it for, all their crystals, and doing their new moon or full moon rituals. So that's another way you can add that into your full moon or new moon ritual with charging your crystals. Me personally, I like to charge my crystals under the new moon to give them new intentions and have them do new things for me. With the full moon, that is more of release. So if I'm trying to release any intentions, then I'll swap and go, okay, so this new moon, I'm going to charge them with new intentions, and then the next full moon that comes up, I'm going to release those intentions after they've served their purpose. So that is another way to charge your crystals with the sunlight or the moonlight. But like I said, you do want to be very mindful about doing that because you don't want your crystals to lose any color. You don't want them to not be vibrant and have all the energy that they can provide you with, right? Okay, and the last way to charge your crystals, one of my favorite ways to do it is to bury my crystals. Now, the way that I think about burying my crystals in the dirt or putting them back into earth is like putting them with their mom, right? Like putting them at home so they can get a nice home cooked meal. It's like going off to college. Like you don't really get to eat your mom's food. You don't really get to relax and be comfortable in your dorm room. So I like to think of, okay, well, when the crystals are with me, they're not with their mom, right? They're not visiting home, right? So when I bury them, I like to think of it as, okay, I'm putting you home. You can rest, you can recuperate. Think of it as putting them back in the womb, if that makes sense. So that's another way that you can do them. You can charge them by putting them actually in the ground. But remember where you buried them, because if you forget, it's going to be very hard to find them. Sometimes they want to be totally back home and bury themselves deeper into the ground. That has happened to me one time. Actually, I buried some crystals and I went to go dig them up, and I was like, where in the world are these crystals? And the craziest part about it was I stuck the shovel that I used like where I buried them so that I could know where to go get them. But when I went back to go get them, they were nowhere to be found. I was like, okay, I guess I wasn't meant to have those. I guess I wasn't meant to keep using those crystals, right? But you will lose crystals sometimes when they have served their purpose. So it's best to not go and search for them again. I've lost multiple pieces of moldavite as well. I think I've had 3 pieces of moldavite, and moldavite is a very expensive crystal. So I stopped rebuying it because I kept losing it. Then I'll go get a new one, then I lost it again and got another one. And it just completely changed my life over every time. So moldavite is a great crystal for transformation and change, but you know, once it's served its purpose, that crystal will leave you. So if you lose a crystal, don't freak out. That just means that it did what it was supposed to do for you, that it served its time with you, that it served its purpose for you, and it may go find someone else to help, right? Next, for cleansing your crystals. How do you cleanse your crystals? So we're going to talk about cleansing them with water, cleansing them with smoke, and salt as well. So number one, cleansing crystals with water. This is a very simple, very easy way to cleanse your crystal. But once again, you have to be mindful because some crystals are not safe for water. Some crystals will dissolve in water. Selenite will dissolve in water. Desert rose will dissolve in water. It will not be usable after it touches water. So you want to be very, very mindful about the crystals that you're using, how you're cleansing them, how you're charging them, and everything like that, because you can ruin them or mess up their energy field by not being mindful. So when you're cleansing them with water, you can literally just turn on your faucet, run your crystals underwater with the intention of cleansing them, cleansing any intentions that may have been previously set. And then that's it. That's a very simple way to do it. Another very simple way is with salt. You can literally just set them in a bowl of salt and the salt will cleanse it. Salt is very cleansing. Black salt is very protecting. So you do want to be able to just cleanse them. Just put them in a little bowl of salt and be like, okay, let them sit for 30 minutes to an hour or overnight or however long you want them to sit. 30 minutes is like a minimum though. Like it's a minimum for charging as well. Like when you're charging your crystals, you also want to have them charging for at least 30 minutes, right? And then once you do that, crystals are cleansed, right? And then the last way is with smoke. You can do this with Palo Santo, sage, sweetgrass, cedar, whatever bundle you may have or whatever smudging tool that you may have. I do have some smudging tools available on my site, ashayinascend.com. I have sage available right now and Palo Santo. I do plan to get some sweetgrass ropes in there soon, so stay tuned for that. But like I was saying, you can just light your Palo Santo or light your sage and kind of just run it through the smoke of it, the smoke of whatever you're using. You can also use incense as well. So you just run it through the smoke of whatever you're burning with the intention of cleansing it. And you just do this for about 1 minute, 30 seconds to 1 minute, 30 seconds being the minimum with this method. And that's it, right? Last thing that I'm going to talk about is programming your crystals. This is the way that I like to program them. If you find another way to do it, then by all means do it your way. But the way that I love to program my crystals, right? So say I have my crystal, it's been cleansed, it's been charged. Like now all I have to do is tell it what I want it to do. Now, you don't want to be harsh. You don't want to be the crystal, you're going to bring me love, you're going to bring me money, you're going to bring me whatever. You don't want to do that because crystals, once again, have energies, have vibrations that can screw the energy and the vibration of the crystal. So you don't want to do that. You want to talk to it the same way you would talk to a plant, like, hey, like, my intention with this crystal is blah blah blah. But the way that I love to do it is to have my crystal in my hand, my cleansed and charged crystal in my hand, set it down and kind of breathe, right? So say I have some rose quartz. The intention is to help me with self-love, right? So you're going to breathe in and think about your intention. What is my intention with this crystal? To help me with self-love. And you're kind of going to breathe that intention into this crystal about 3 times, right? So and when you're breathing, you're just imagining your intention kind of flowing into the crystal, thinking about what you want the crystal to do for you, how you want to work with this crystal, what you want this crystal to bring you, and kind of blowing that intention into the crystal. And you can also cup your hands and do it this way, hold the crystal in your hand and do it this way. That's another way that you can do it. But basically the whole intention is to blow your intention into the crystal, right? To kind of feed it with your air, your breath, to feed it with your aura, right? So that is a way that I love to program my crystals. It's very simple. Do that about 3 times into the crystal, and also make sure that you're thanking the crystal for helping you, for assisting you, and give it gratitude for working with you, for being there and helping you with transformation or prosperity or healing or love or whatever you're using your crystal for. Make sure you give it gratitude, right? Gratitude is very important with spirituality. You want to be a very grateful, thankful person for all the things that you have, even in times of of despair. So you do want to be very grateful and very thankful at all times in your life, because you don't want to be that person who's only thankful when their ancestors are doing something for them, because then they're not going to want to work with you anymore. You don't want to be that person who's only grateful when the crystal is giving you prosperity, because then that crystal is going to leave you and you're never going to be able to find it again, because it's like, you're not appreciating the things that I'm doing for you. You're not appreciating working with me, so I don't want to work with you anymore. Like, you don't even say thanks. You know, how hard is it to say thank you, right? I hope that you guys learned something from this video. I hope that you guys gained something from this video, and I hope that you guys enjoy this new series. I have a lot coming for you with this series in the car with info. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back again next Thursday with another video. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for shopping with me. Thank you for following me. And thank you for watching these videos. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.